Joining me now, Illinois Congressman Krishnamoorthi, a Democratic member of the House Oversight and Intelligence Committee, as well as the House Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus crisis. Congressman, thank you so much for taking time out of your Sunday to be with us. I want to talk to you about the September 18th rally in a moment. But first, I'd love your reaction to our reporting at NBC News that Senate Democrats are close to an agreement on updated voting rights legislation that can get the support of all 50 Democrats. What do you want to see in this agreement?
Well, I'm heartened by this news. I think that we absolutely need some version of H.R. 1 or H.R. 4 and or both. H.R. 4 is the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. But I'd like to see our significant components of those pieces of legislation involved in the whatever this compromise agreement is, including with regard to restoring pre-clearance measures for those states who have had a history of suppressing minority voters and others. I'd like to see more campaign finance disclosures. I authored a provision with regard to encouraging student voting, which is unfortunately too low at too many college campuses and other places. And I'm hoping to see that in the final bill as well, or the compromise bill. Ultimately, we're going to need Republican support, and I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to jump on board there.
Let's talk about the upcoming rally. The Capitol Police Chief briefing congressional leaders tomorrow on the September 8th rally. Fencing is going back up around the Capitol building. Are these signs of how seriously Capitol Police are taking this, and are you confident that they're prepared?
I'm confident they will be prepared, but I am concerned about what's going to happen at this rally. I think three things have to be done at the least. I think that they need to be supplemented in terms of having metropolitan police officers and maybe even the D.C. National Guard there. There needs to be an overwhelming show of force. Secondly, I think Republican leaders, starting with Donald Trump, must dissuade people from participating in this rally. They didn't do the right thing on January 6th. This is their chance to do the right thing now. And then the third thing that I really believe has to happen is that the DOJ has to hustle and prosecute more people. Hundreds of people have yet to be charged in connection with January 6th. Of those who are charged, numerous cases are going nowhere. They're just not unfolding in terms of the prosecution. And so basically what that means is a lot of people who participated in January 6th think that they got away with it. And that invites more of these types of protests. And so now we need the DOJ to hustle, and we in Congress need to appropriate whatever resources are needed to make that happen.
The FBI releasing new video of the still unidentified suspect who allegedly planted pipe bombs around Capitol Hill the night before January 6th. How do you feel that more than 8 months later, investigators are still combing through videos, looking for tips on this? Do you or your colleagues worry about your safety with someone like this still out there?
Well, this pipe bomb issue is slightly personal. Basically, I was informed that the pipe bombs were placed about 200 feet from my office window when I was there. Goodness. And so I think this goes back to my previous comment, which is I just don't see the sense of urgency that I'd like to see among investigators, especially at the DOJ, in getting to the bottom of what happened, because these bombs were not randomly planted. There was a coordinated attempt to basically plant these bombs and divert Capitol Police away from the Capitol front where the breaches occurred so that there would be less resistance to the breaches. And that's exactly what happened. And so now DOJ has to get to the question of who plotted this particular attack. Who are the masterminds? Unless and until we get to those people, then we should assume that they're going to strike again.
Let's talk about President Biden's new vaccine mandates. Republican leaders are already pushing back, calling for protests, some of them even vowing legal action. Axios is calling this America's Civil War of 2021. What do you make of the divide here? And do you see these tensions easing anytime soon?
I think they'll ease once people see the effectiveness of this mandate. I thought it was a bold move. It was the right move. I think probably privately, a lot of those Republican governors and others who publicly have criticized him are privately grateful that he took this measure because it helps to combat the raging COVID that's happening in their states and local jurisdictions. quite frankly, I think that this boldness needs to be matched as well in other ways. I think that President Biden has to act boldly with regard to a global vaccination program. I've introduced legislation with my colleagues on this, and unless and until we get the rest of the world, or the poorest parts of the rest of the world, the resources they need to get vaccinated, the variants will keep coming here, and it will eventually defeat the vaccines that all of us have taken to protect ourselves. So I'd like to see similar bold measures at the international level now.
What else do you believe we can do, if anything, to bridge this divide, bring more Americans together to fight the coronavirus?
Well, I think the two things that I think Americans agree on largely are, we have to keep businesses open because the economy has to stay open. And then secondly, we have to keep schools open. We cannot go back to Zoom learning. And so let's start there. How do we keep those two things? And of course, we have to protect everyone's health. Let's start with those three principles. And if we can agree on that, then we got to figure out measures to make sure we achieve all three. I'm heartened that a lot of companies actually welcomed the president's vaccine mandate because, in fact, they are practicing that mandate among their employees. I hope that they can influence others and make sure that we get behind the president here.
Congressman Krishnamoorthi, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much.